What's up, team? We're going to go down the rabbit hole of stress, and I want you to really pay attention to how you approach food and what you use as a coping mechanism to stress in your day. So stress is such a massive part of today in whatever field you are, and if you don't cope on things, you're always going to struggle with your energy, your sleep, and your recovery. So making sure that you have some skills in place to master this really allows you to stay on top of your emotions and the activities you use that hopefully are not being used now to suppress this attitude. So if we have that stress in day-to-day life, I want to really make sure that we have some strategies around how we decide to train in order to move forward, because using these things and knowing that food and drugs and sex and whatever else for so many people become a coping mechanism for shit going on in their life, and that is a really negative spiral downhill if you can't realize what that's causing to your body and which directions that's going in. So the biggest thing that I think everyone in this group should be doing at some point in their day, ideally morning, is to focus on breathing, because if we breathe in really quickly, we're going to get quite a high, we're going to get an increase in our heart rate, right? We're ready to go. We can snap and go like that. If we bring it down and we breathe out, we can calm the breath. So knowing how to use that is going to make a big difference in being able to adjust our state. So if we're looking to get into a set, something I've been trying lately and looking through with a couple of mentors, is blowing the air right out, holding until you feel the need to breathe, and then getting a big inhalation through your nose. It seems to rapidly improve your performance with that big lift. But things like, and I work with clients all the time, and even when I'm training with someone else, they'll finish their set and they'll sit there breathing and huffing and continuing on that process of feeling stressed and sort of knackered after a set, right? But if you can get out of that set and go up and bring yourself back down into that calm, sympathetic, parasympathetic state straight away, you are always going to have the edge. You're always going to have the ability to recover more, perform further, and really make the most of what you're doing in training. So knowing how much your breath can play a really crucial part in your ability to control your state, really feel like you're in a position that you have control over that and you have a tool in order to bring you back to where you want to be. So if you're about to have that fight with your partner, you're about to go off at your boss, whatever that is, use that breathing as your biggest tool. It will always be your biggest asset in order to bring yourself back to that state you want to be in, and whether that be up and ready to go, hopefully not at your boss, hopefully in the gym, and bringing it back down and being able to think about, getting back to being calm, being able to digest food. If you're going into lunch break and you're still thinking about 100 things and your breathing's all over the show and you go to eat, you're not going to be digesting that food very well. And this is where a lot of these intolerances come in. This is why there's going to be extra bloating. This is why sometimes your energy can be terrible in the afternoons, is because you're not taking the time to get your body in the right state in order to digest this food. Along with 100 different issues, digestion has always been ruined by food being so immediate. You're not making it, so you just get it and you eat it. If you go through that process of really preparing your food, you're going to have a natural saliva build up, and actually that's a sign of your body getting ready for digestion. So there's 100 different things there, but really getting in that process of being present to what you're actually doing is the big one, and being able to bring yourself and calm yourself down into that state of being able to rest, digest, and all the other stuff that comes along with being in this calm state. If you're in a high sympathetic state all the time, you're always ready to just jump and sprint and fight, then your immune function will always be compromised, your digestion will always be compromised, and your recovery will be terrible. So getting that into the right place, use that breathing, be present, and really focus on getting yourself into the right state for the activity you're going to do. The second part to this is going to be knowing how to train for the state that you're in. So say you've had a ridiculous week, you've got deadlines to meet, you've got deals to close. You need to adjust your training on weeks like that, right? You're not going to be able to train at the same intensity because you're not going to be able to recover. So your weight training as your stable, obviously we want to know what your perceived exertion of it that is. So if you're really relaxed, you're recovering really well, we want to be pushing to 10, we want to be pushing past 10, so past failure with our drop sets, with our intensifiers of some level, if we have the ability to recover from what we're doing. But if we've already dug a hole with our recovery through a lack of nutrition, through a lack of sleep, through a high elevated level of stress, then we need to adjust our training accordingly. And without just going through a simple let's train more when we're energetic and less when we're tired, I want to go one step deeper. because especially you should have your base, hopefully for that 4 workouts, maybe 5 workouts that you're getting in for the week, that should be your base. And if you're nailing nutrition and sleep, then you should at least be able to hit these. But with your cardio or any additional exercise you're doing on top, this is where we can use this as your asset in order to bring yourself into the right state. So it's not a case of just doing less, it's a case of choosing the right activity for the mindset and for the state you are in that week. So if you are naturally sympathetic, you're highly aroused, you're in a stressful state all the time, the last thing you need to do is go do a HIIT class, go do CrossFit, go do a max set on squats, because you're constantly up in this high level stress and all you're doing is putting yourself back into that. So your body never has time to calm back down, and you will build a bigger and bigger hole that you will not be recovering from and you will not be progressing. So stepping back from that makes a difference. If we're always in a calm state, let's find one of them. Maybe we go the yogis, maybe we go someone that's constantly stretching and just doing really calm activities. The best thing we can get them to do is those HIIT classes, is those high level squats, as long as they're stable, being able to get them into that level of highly sympathetic response, right? So making sure that where we are becomes more of a balance to know what we can really recover from and what we're able to do in order to really feel like we can move forward. It's not that we need to do less, because so many people put themselves, and I'm sure you're in this category of, you feel stressed, you feel like you've done so much work that you need to just go sit down and plonk in front of the couch. You're getting constantly aroused by the blue lights in the screens, by all the colors, by all that shit that's keeping your brain going, rather than just allowing the body to move and excrete the toxins and get blood flow around the body and get yourself into a healthy state. So rather than plumping yourself on the couch and doing more damage through your body having an aroused state through your mind and not being able to sleep properly, we want to be able to use cardio, we want to be able to use exercise as a way to improve this path forward and just knowing which way to go. So I'm going to go down the route of stress. This is why this video is here, because so many people are in this state, is if you're getting to the end of the day and you are in that state that you feel like you're really slumped, you're lacking energy, I want you to use that steady state cardio as your advantage. Whether that be first thing in the morning, lunchtime, or after work, 20 minutes with a podcast, with music, with your dog, whatever works for you, is going to make a drastic difference to your ability to recover, your ability to calm down the nervous system and put yourself in a much better headspace, if that's what's happening. So it's going to be a case of doing more, and it's trying to get you away from this excuse that because you're tired and because you're stressed, you should not exercise, okay? It's trying to get you to switch to what is going to move forward the most. So if you're feeling massively stressed and you're going into a strength workout as planned that day, let's switch that for a nice walk and a podcast and journaling if you need to. Really lay that down as to what's holding you up in your mind, what's holding up with all the stress that's going on, and being able to do an activity that day that's actually going to get you closer to your goal. I hope that's really useful. Let me know if you've got any questions about that, because I think just that concept of knowing that if you're in a highly stressed state, doing more stressful activities is going to make it worse, and the opposite is really just a nice distinction. It sounds obvious, but it's a really nice distinction to make, to know how to train and when for you. So hope you have a great day, team. I hope that was helpful to clear these things up, and let's get after it and know when to adjust things.